Welcome back to episode 24 of the Zoo House Sports Fantasy Football Zoo podcast. I hope you managed to win this week. If it's your first time tuning in, my name is Matt, aka Zoo House Zebra, and I'm joined once again by my co-hosts
Tom, aka Zoo House Go. I left over 50 points on my bench this week. I'm super happy about that. What the fuck happened with Julian Edelman?
Rich, aka Zoo House Bear, back from holiday, ready to go. I haven't looked at fantasy football all week. You boys are going to have to carry me this week.
And Chief, aka Zoo House Moose. I'm not good at funny catchphrases.
I liked it.
We hope you had a great week 3, but in case you didn't, like a few of us, we are back once again with some more surefire bets to take home your win in week 4.
But before we get on to that, let's take a look at the news from around the league this week.
Well, we've got an extensive news section this week, boys. Look at this.
It's a big news topic, though. I think this is quite interesting about how it's going to impact moving forward. We have 3 Titan players tested positive for COVID.
You know who?
I haven't seen who yet. No, I haven't.
No, nor have I, actually. But they've obviously taken action on the Titan side of the things, but they've also taken action in the Vikings camp and have closed all facilities just straight away, which I think is great reaction from the Vikings. You know, it doesn't matter who's tested positive, lock it down, make sure whoever's coming up positive is staying home and recovers well, hopefully.
Well, I guess, yeah, they played on Sunday, so they have Monday off, so yeah. Tuesday would be the first day they're back in, so they have kind of avoided. Does anyone know what their return to play procedure is? I'm imagining it's a couple of negative tests and they'll all get rapid result tests today, I guess. Try and reopen tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's 2 different tests between 24 hours, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. These could be false positives. We haven't had it confirmed. We haven't had it confirmed that they are positives. You know they're positive.
Because, yeah, we had a few at the start of the season. If they don't play, do they just each lose their bye week and they play on what should have been their bye weeks? But their bye weeks might be the same week, yeah.
Exactly. Like the Steelers been told to prepare like normal. You're playing the Titans, keep going. But as you say, the bye week won't match up. So how does that work out?
Can you imagine if the NFL were just like, yeah, well, we told you not to catch COVID, so that's a loss for you. The other team get an automatic win.
And I wonder what kind of thresholds there are, because we've got 3 Titans players, which, you know, normally if 3 players get injured, it's kind of just like, yeah, carry on with the game. But what if those players are, say, you know, Tannehill, Henry, and they decide to go ahead with the game anyway? Like, that could be a huge change to the team lineup. So, you know, what if one player gets it? What if it's just a practice squad player? Like, what are we kind of talking about here in terms of effect on the actual game on Sunday?
That's
so
the thing,
like if it's first string, then yeah, we'll have to cancel game. If it's, do you know what, you're a support staff or, you know, just as you say, practice squad, we can play on. Surely it will come back without the tests.
I don't think even if it was say what, Tannehill, Henry, and I don't know, one of the good cornerbacks or something for everyone. I don't know. I don't think the NFL would be like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to play this week. It's all about personal accountability, isn't it? It's like when you're in NFL season, don't go playing basketball in case you tear your ACL kind of thing.
But even if those players you have are out, let's say it is Henry, Tannehill, and AJ Brown, okay, 3 big fantasy assets, it does ruin potentially other players as well. You can't just go, I'll get the reserve running back and the backup QB, because that's their game plan out the window. I mean, if you do someone like Derrick Henry, then you don't have to stack the box and you can protect the passing game even more, or you can blitz harder.
Then you see how good the coaching staff are at their depth in game plans, and see they must have contingency plans for this. It's like if Tannehill, Henry both got injured, what's their contingency plan? They're not just going to go, right, well, that's the game today, we'll walk away, guys.
Pray.
This isn't the Adam Gase school of coaching. I imagine.
Adam Gase.
I would imagine. I'm like someone like Bill Belichick, for example. I imagine he's got a squad list written out for every single permutation of people coming down with COVID on his team. So he'd be like, well, it's fine. We just carry on. We do our job. It's like a few years ago when Brady got injured and they put in whoever the hell they put in, they was like, yeah, we just keep winning. It's just what we do. We're a system-led team. But as you say, with the Titans, if it's Derrick Henry, the man you're paying all the money to just keep pounding it through the middle of giant people. So say it is Henry. Who's their backup running back? Who do we get to?
Darrington Evans.
Yeah,
Darrington
he
Evans.
just came off, was it IRR or just came back from injury this week?
Yeah.
Hey, good
if it
timing
is
for him,
Henry,
potentially.
I would be gutted for the person I play this week in our home league. I would be absolutely devastated.
Is it me?
Yes.
Well, I know who Chiefy's
Henry,
first wave
sit
of
this
wire
one
pickup
out.
is going to be then.
Well, if it's only Henry, yeah, you could do. But if it's Tannehill out, I think that's a huge blow because he's actually been playing really well. The week 3, he played really hot. So if they lose the starting quarterback, I'd downgrade the entire Titans offense.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Well, we'll know more when we know more, I guess. Check out our socials because I'm sure we'll tweet about it and someone might cry about it if it's someone who affects them, or someone might be really happy if it's someone that affects their opponent. So I guess we'll see.
Right then, so moving on from the news, now let's talk about a different type of news, and that's our injury list. I don't know if it's about you guys, but it seems like the off-season has really affected players so far, and there are injuries being picked up left, right and centre. Some, season-ending, unfortunately, and some only a week here or two. But that makes a massive impact for our fantasy leagues, and I just don't know why they're not more considerate for us, but we'll have to play on. So let's go through the new list, which is extensive again for week 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can see that Chris Godwin had his hamstring pulled. Unsure of his the amount of time he's going to be out, but I think this could really benefit Scotty Miller
And Mike Evans.
and Mike Evans. Yeah, although how much better can he get?
Get more than 2 receptions like last week. Admittedly, both for touchdowns. But yeah, Scotty Miller looked hot. And to your point, Chief, I think Brady's liking him. He's looking like a poor man's Julian Edelman in that Tampa offense. If he's on your waivers, I'd stash him. I don't think he will be though.
I have to be honest, Tom, actually. I'll give you this Scotty Miller pickup because that is that's a good little catch by you.
Oh, hang on, guys. Let me just savour that little morsel of recognition that I get for it.
What do you mean, little catch from Tom?
Oh, a few weeks ago. It must have been, a week or two before the start of the season?
No more than that in our way
Tom had
back.
obviously been watching Tom Brady so he can continue with his nighttime activities. And he'd obviously heard Tom Brady saying nice things about Scotty Miller. And fair play, mate.
Yeah, I think
You
it was
went
back
out,
in
you
May
got
or
him.
June I called it.
I feel like every time I flip over to the Bucks game, you hear, and that's Scotty Miller on a reception there for 8 yards or whatever.
The issue is, it says at the
Yeah,
moment for news about him that he's got a groin and hip injury that he's dealing with, and he's actually labelled as questionable.
Who, Godwin?
No, Scotty Miller.
It's fine. He's got a spare hip and a spare groin. And you got 2, so get on with it. Godwin's out. Look, I think this is a recurring issue because he's not been right. He didn't look right in the game last week, did he? He didn't have that electric pace, the burst. And if he'd been against a tougher opposition who weren't gutted themselves by injuries, I think Tampa might have struggled a bit in the passing game. So I'd rather him take some time out and get fitter.
All right,
Moving on.
Yeah.
Falcons fans, I just want to say this. You may be
is the
injured in your
injury
heart.
the Falcons fans?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've led 3 times now, pretty much. Well, against the Seahawks, you had some of a lead, though you blew it massively and just gave them lots of points. Cowboys, I don't know how you lost that game. You were devastated for that. You get a nice fat lead against the Chicago Bears, who had Mitch Trubisky throwing picks left, right, and centre.
Yeah, but it
And
wasn't,
then you
it
let
wasn't
Nick-
Mitch that did the damage to them, though, was it?
No, but they couldn't close it out after Foles came in, and their secondary is just disgusting. It's just not there. Have you seen the clip of where Miller's in so much space and time, and Tarek Cohen gets so much space and time before he later on we'll talk about him. So I just want to say, Falcons fans, I know you lost the Super Bowl with a massive lead against the greatest team on earth, and you've lost some massive leads lately, but just put the razor blades down and tie the rope from the top of the ceiling, and don't book that flight to Switzerland. It's not worth it.
Yeah, the
After someone
quarantine's way too long once you get there.
Yeah, after someone whose fantasy season last year netted them 3 wins with the second highest point scored, keep scoring points and just play through the pain. There we go.
I texted you about this on Sunday night, Tom. I love the idea of sports people having a bit of a superstition. Imagine if they decide that Matt Ryan is the reason that they're cursed now, and they keep blowing these massive leads, despite the fact that their defense apparently is playing hopscotch instead of actually doing defense.
He could be the albatross. It could be Matt Ryan. Think about it. He's the quarterback that, all right, he's passed for a lot of touchdowns. The passing yards are up, and he's not on the field when the defense loses it. But maybe he's the curse, and they should trade him away and pick up someone like Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham hasn't lost all these leads, has he?
Jarrett Stidham throws nothing but interceptions. Anyway, our condolences, Falcons fans, but I want to move on to the next one because I'm really sad about the next one. It's my man that I picked up and loved in the off-season. Any of you who saw my tweets, read my articles, listened to the podcast, you would know I was big on Russell Gage and he was coming through. And then the tiny little girly wide receiver got himself a concussion, didn't he, on the Sunday? So thanks for that, pal. That was great because that helped cost me my matchup this week. But no, I hope he gets better. It's curious because was it Godwin who cleared the concussion protocol in like 4 days or something the other week? So he's not necessarily going to be out. And whilst Julio looks like he's on track to come back, which we'll talk about in a minute, I'm sure. If Julio isn't back and Russell manages to clear the concussion protocol, then he's going straight back into my starting lineup again because he will feast eventually.
I think the only thing to worry with the concussion protocol is it sort of goes up exponentially in terms of time lost from them. Because the first concussion is kind of like, yeah, you can get back straight away. But the second one, then they end up being forced to sit out several weeks. And then if you get a third or a fourth, then it can be even longer than that. I think last season we saw of Evan Ingram, he got several of them and ended up missing a hell of a lot of weeks just because multiple head injuries in one season. The NFL really doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah, I always thought like a concussion was instantly, that's it, 2 weeks, you've got to sit out. But it's encouraging to see that the first concussion they can... Well, it's encouraging for fantasy owners, probably not encouraging for their mental prospects later in life. But it's encouraging to see him come back for the next game week.
Right, well, I'll talk about the next one. Chris Carson, who is on my lineup. Really upset about this, especially from the way it occurred, but he has, they called it a minor knee sprain. It looked as though his leg was trying to get ripped off by an alligator doing a death roll. But fortunately, he's out for 2 weeks, which doesn't seem too bad, in all fairness. So who's going to benefit there? Because the Seahawks are on a massive up at the moment. Carlos Hyde, we can see a lot of up there.
Rashad Penny's still out, isn't he, with his hip?
Yeah.
It's absolutely Carlos Hyde. He's coming off the back of a 1,000-yard season. They're just going to let him run it, just like they were with Carson.
Yeah. But they're letting Russ cook at the moment. They are letting him cook.
They are, but Carson's still putting up respectable numbers.
If you had Seattle wide receivers, I wouldn't trade them for all the tea in China. Would not trade a Seahawks
especially
receiver.
if you like keep banging on about how much you love Tyler Lockett, and then can you imagine like the audacity of just trading him away?
All I'm going to say is, am I not correct that Tyler Lockett over Metcalf, Lockett is the favourable wide receiver, and Russell Wilson is great. I'm more than happy to trade him away to get the trade I did. You know what? I think it's fair.
What was the trade? This is a fantasy football podcast. Let's talk about the actual fantasy football.
All right,
bit.
so the actual trade was Joe Mixon and Tyler Lockett for Tyler Boyd and Miles Sanders.
Tyler Boyd's seeing a lot of targets, actually.
Tyler Boyd is seeing a lot of targets. He's now what I've considered from this is Joe Mixon is not doing well at the moment. He's just not picking up the fantasy points. He's doing well on field, but just not for fantasy. Tyler Lockett is on fire. Fantastic. So that's a high and a low. And for me, Miles Sanders is doing all right. Let's be honest, the Eagles are not doing great, so it's a bit of a hit or miss about how they'll perform. And also, Tyler Boyd is actually doing very consistent. He's actually doing really well. And especially with Joe Burrow, who is doing great. I actually look at him and think he's settling in really well into the actual NFL. I actually have faith in him to keep this going. Now,
but did you see the hit he took? Did you see that hit
Joe Burrow
took? Yeah, he just honestly let the ball go, and then 2 hours later, Eagles defensive lineman just hit him. So he's just throwing the ball like this, and he's just stood there prone, just absolutely clubs him. You see Burrow's neck back, and you think the worst because the helmet comes in, lifts it up. He takes one snap off, comes back in, boom, passes it.
It was last week, week
steel.
2, when Herbert. Do you see when he absolutely cleared out that linebacker? He took
the
off
Chiefs
running,
linebacker,
absolutely cleared out the linebacker and just hopped straight back up, and the linebacker's like out cold on the floor. You're like, ooh, these young quarterbacks are tough bastards.
But Tyler Boyd's now wide receiver 1 in Bengals. He's getting more targets than AJ Green. He's had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I think, you know what, Matt? I think you did a good trade. I wouldn't listen to them.
Look, the only thing I would say there is the schedules are against me. I think Lockett against the Dolphins coming up this week, that is going to be fun for you to have. As in, I've got I think is it Boyd who's got a couple of hard games coming up against, is it San Francisco's the next game? So tough games, but I'm looking long term. I'm happy with that trade.
Well, Mixon has 49ers run defense next, and I'm like, so you're going on the bench and you can live there for the next. I think week 7 you'll pick it up.
I looked up the Bengals' schedule.
Yeah,
it's nails.
This is telling me that they've got Jags. No, but this can't be right.
Is Jags next?
Yeah, Jags.
Yeah, sorry, Jags. 49ers
sorry.
the Eagles. Sorry, Sanders has the
Miles
Eagles
Sanders.
next.
Yeah. You got Jags, Ravens, Colts, Bengals. Jags, Ravens, Colts, Browns, Titans.
Yeah,
and then a bye week.
I think there's
a rough few weeks for him.
So I just want to hear from a bystander point of view. You think it's a bad trade for me then?
I don't. I think it's fine. I think it's perfectly fair, and each of you are taking a punt on the player that you think's gonna turn out. If there's one thing I've learned this year and last year to some extent, it's that with all the greatest will in the world, you'll never really know exactly what's going to happen, will you?
And do you know what? I honestly, half of me, most of the reason why I accepted this trade is because I saw it and thought, that looks fair. Something's got to be dodgy. Something has to be off. And then I suddenly thought about it. I was like, do you know what? Just because it looks a fair trade, I'm going to trust Tom, because that honestly is the first time he's ever done that to me. So values trade, I'll take it.
I don't know. Year 1, I gave you a very nice trade for your bucket game. Very nice trade.
Yeah.
But
anyway, moving on with
Twitter backed you actually. 100% of Twitter votes backed that you won the trade by getting Sanders and Boyd.
Yeah, I just logged in on my 6 different accounts and just voted in Matt's favour. Not really. Right, yes, Matt's right. Move on. Dallas got it. He was on my team. I was going to use him as trade capital, and now he's doing even better to try and ruin my year. Thank you very much. For anyone listening, right, I am just going to moan for a second. My injury woes by halfway through week 2. Kenny Golladay, Cortland Sutton, Dallas Goddard, Will Fuller, Russell Gage, and there is a 6th one in there. Oh, and of course, Saquon Barkley.
Can we record this? Let me just say it again. Let me get my phone ready. I want to play this back. You know, whenever I'm feeling sad,
soundbite,
or low.
It's just a terrible. And that's just in one league, by the way. That's just in one team. It is horrible this year. So Dallas got it. Ankle fracture. That's actually pretty rough. I hope you get better, mate. But he'll be out, I imagine, for 4 weeks.
Great for Zach Ertz, though. Like he was starting to usurp the position of tight end 1. So now Ertz is back on the top spot, looking for a lot of targets.
The Eagles are still shit. I'm sorry, Wentz is just looking like shit.
There's still value in Eagles players in my mind. They're still going to be able to produce plays. Ertz, for example, over I think he got 14 points in our league. That's still a decent score for a tight end.
I guess we can say value in PPR.
Value in PPR. But look, what I was going to say is, does this once again emphasise the requirement to stack your bench with handcuffs? You're looking at people who are going to replace those players if they go off. Who are you looking at? You know, is this the season to actually get those sort of players in your team? Wait for the opportunity, then fill your roster with it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you should only really handcuff your number 1 if it's possible. So now Darrington Evans is back. I'm probably going to look at picking him up for cheap off the waiver wire just to make sure that I've got that secured. But in terms of Saquon Barkley, it's not really possible to handcuff because you've got you could have picked up Wayne Goldman or Dion Lewis, but then they go and buy Devonta Freeman. So it
doesn't matter because the Giants are dog shit anyway. So no one's touching that.
So it's all relative.
you could have handcuffed Sutton by getting Judy, but then Drew Lock goes down. So
I think it's just good to remember that it's just it's a game at the end of the day, isn't it? And you win some, lose some.
Before Matt moves us on, I just want to say I read a really funny thing on Twitter earlier. I don't know if it's true, but I want to believe that it is. Russell Wilson could throw 46 picks on his next 46 passes and still have a better career passer rating than Carson Wentz.
What, this season?
No, like his next 40, like his career, over his career.
Oh my God.
Russell Wilson is probably one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in our lifetimes. He doesn't get the respect he deserves.
No, he absolutely doesn't. Yeah, agreed.
He is phenomenal. His deep ball, and as I say, I wouldn't have traded Tyler Lockett for all the tea in China.
Oh well, right, now I'm going to move us on then. Right, carrying on. Deontay Johnson out on concussion, so this is the issue. It could be 4 days, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, four whatever. No idea. Tarek Cohen, ACL. Brutal. That's really upsetting.
He's gone.
That's rough. That's his.
Especially they just paid him. They just paid him a lot of money.
I hope he got injury guarantees in that.
Some of it's guaranteed, yeah. But it's, as Americans, like, you'll have guarantees based on this, that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You
know,
get
make the roster.
Injury guarantees, don't you? Yeah.
It's quite a big hit for the Bears, though, because Tariq Cohen, he's a great kick returner as well, great punt returner. They always look to him for those speedy punts. Big uptick in targets for David Montgomery, hopefully, if Matt Nagy doesn't do some of his weird play magician
about
shit.
Weird plays, they're trying to get Corradell Patterson, usually he's like the speedy guy. They put him in for some snaps, and I was looking at the beat writers' reports today, and actually he's been getting more running back snaps. They could use him as a third down back, which I'd actually try and sell Monty high now if I had him. I would not be trying to buy; I'd be trying to sell high.
Yeah, also because the Bears are 4-0, 3-0, 3-0, and that is not going to last. Let's face it. So let's sell them high while we have them, because they will.
Like an Atlanta lead, it's not going to last.
No, exactly. They'll finish like maybe 2 games over positive this year. But who's up next?
I think it's Mike Williams. Apparently he's pulled a hammy. Mike Williams gets injuries, I think, every other day for what could be a really explosive receiver. I think every week it's his shoulder, his groin, his hammy, his toe, his ear. Look, I read Mike Williams on the injury report. I just skip it. I'm just so used to seeing his name.
Yeah, he's one of those players who'll just fight back. If it's not this week, he'll be back next week for a couple of weeks, and he'll be off for a week, whatever it is.
It depends if Tyrod's back in. Do you think Herbert should stay?
Herbert's staying.
Do you think?
Did you see how many targets Keenan Allen got?
Oh, yeah.
19 targets.
19.
Jeez.
He made me so happy he was on my bench.
I think Herbert threw for. I think he threw for around 50 times.
Jesus. Yeah, I know Herbert was busy having to throw the ball a lot, but wow, 19 targets over there. That's crazy.
Yeah. Mad.
Tom, I'll trade you nothing for Keenan Allen.
Oh, I love nothing. He's like, you know what? If you could just throw in, like a used running back and like a wide receiver too as well, I'll give you.
I'll give you Cam Newton for Keenan Allen.
Never. I have got Aaron Rodgers, who is looking like a god.
Exactly.
Deshaun
Jackson.
Yeah.
Anyone care?
Deshaun Jackson.
No one cares.
No,
Just another
no one cares.
Eagles player,
Right,
a million years old, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Jordan Reed, who's next, who's done his knee/ankle. I'm a bit upset because I managed to pick him up on the waiver wire
Gutted.
for the
Kittle's
George Kittle.
coming back soon, though, isn't he?
But he's going exactly. So I think his values now is gone. Kittle will be back, and it will be back to normal for the 49ers. And then John Brown has done his calf in. So I think Diggs suddenly value goes up even more now.
Oh, does it? Because then Diggs can get double teamed. I'd actually look at Beasley. Beasley will get the targets.
Hey, he's actually been looking all right as
this
year.
Against the Rams. Rams put Ramsey, annoyingly, on Diggs, who bottled it for Diggs' touchdown. Do you see Diggs just take him on the inside, force Ramsey out?
Yeah.
But that led Beasley free because the Rams secondary wasn't so strong. So when you look at their matchup, which we'll talk about, you'll get the number one corner on Diggs and maybe a free safety. We'll look to double team. Could give a lot of targets for Cole Beasley.
Yeah. Good
Can I
stuff
just
there.
say, I am so happy that I have a Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stack in one of my leagues. It's just so nice when you're like, Josh Allen has thrown a pass to Stephon Diggs. Ah, good. There's at least 11 points for my team.
I think I heard it's the first time in NFL history that a quarterback has thrown for 10 touchdowns and ran for 2 touchdowns. And that's Josh Allen.
That's pretty cool because he'd thrown for 10 touchdowns through 10 quarters
within the first
of
3
football,
weeks,
hadn't he,
yeah.
this year? Which was
But there's
cool.
been a lot of records, I thought, for the first 3 week stuff this season. And I say that and completely gone blank and can't remember any of them. But
Russ Wilson has thrown 14, 15 touchdowns this year already.
yeah,
It's
but
sustainable.
He's sustainable.
He's not going to throw 76 touchdowns this year.
If
Yeah,
he
but
does.
his pass rate in the first game was what 84%, I think it was.
Yeah,
Something
he's that
crazy
good.
like that.
He's that good.
He's just
I mean, they
rude.
beat the Patriots, so they're an amazing team. Let's not take that away from them.
Yeah, fair.
While
Right
we're talking about records, I just want to say one thing. This can be my rant for the podcast.
Oh,
it
go on.
really bugs me the American commentators where they come in with really obscure, random records.
Oh, I love
They're like-
those.
They're like, oh, by the way, this is the first time that someone's thrown 3 touchdowns on a Tuesday while someone's at home painting his house. Like, it doesn't matter.
They're so good. It's
They're
like
so
this is the
obscure.
first time
No, I
a
love it.
quarterback
I love
has
it.
rushed for a touchdown after having oatmeal with only 2 blueberries for breakfast. And you're like, what a great fact. I love them. They absolutely make it for me. Can you imagine
No,
it
I
in
absolutely
like
agree. They're
the Premier
useless,
League
but-
in England?
They're cool.
Just be nowhere near as fun.
Right then, let's move on to some updates about current injuries. We've got Ashton Jeffrey coming back soon. Anyone taking him up?
He's on my
He's
bench.
on the Eagles. He's on the Eagles. I wouldn't touch him.
Like,
If I had any Eagles players, I'd sell.
we
Even
we
anyone.
know he's a good wide receiver.
He is.
Deshaun Jackson is out. If he can come back, we might have a chance.
which
Admittedly,
wide
he is on the
receivers?
Eagles and being thrown to by Carson Wentz. But look, you heard my injury woes. I'm in a real hole, guys. I need something, anything. So as soon as I saw that he was training last week, I picked him up. If you're in a deep league, if you've had a lot of injury troubles like me, he's definitely worth the pickup. But I wouldn't be dropping, say, a Will Fuller or a Russell Gage or anyone like that for him.
That's fair.
I think you drop someone if you got someone
And-
injured.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's worth an IR replacement. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, fair enough. Michael Thomas could be back for week 4. I think this changes a lot. Suddenly Kamara after last game, how many receptions did he take?
2 million.
Yeah,
Two-
2,000,000.
it was-
It was a Sunday night football.
Basically,
His
felt
mum had
like
just
2
fed the
million.
cat. Everything. It was like the first time a running back had that many receptions while his mum had fed the cat tuna, not normal cat food.
I
Love
will
it.
tell you, he had
No, look,
13 receptions.
Yeah, no.
13
insane.
receptions.
He almost got me the win. He's a god.
That is crazy.
14
He
targets.
did
That's great.
so
catch
well
rate.
though.
I almost hated him at the start of the season. I was ready to just go out and send him a letter full of some white powder, but I didn't. And he's come back and he's done really well. So thank you, Alvin, and the rest of the Chipmunks.
Yeah, top effort, Alvin. I've got you in one of my other leagues, and 44.7 points was a great thing to wake up to on Monday.
But to your point, Michael Thomas coming back, the man with 2 first names, he will come back to be the first wide receiver target. And look, the Saints have had some tough matchups. They're going to get the ball rolling. It will hurt Cammy, yes. But I see the other players it's hurting most are people like Jared Cook and Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders wasn't getting many targets. Michael Thomas will just absorb those.
Yeah.
And with how hot Alvin Kamara is, did you see the touchdown when he broke 6 tackles? It was just a check down from Breeze. He just shrugs off one, and the offensive lineman going, "I will block for you." And then Kamara was
That
just
was
like
so
jogging.
good. I've never
Just
seen an
jogging.
O-lineman move so fast. He's like, come on in, don't worry, buddy.
You saying so fast, but how slow did Kamara look jogging behind him? Like, okay, we'll just trot. And the guy's like sprinting as fast as he
That's
can.
what's
to keep up.
terrifying, though, because that O-lineman will be running faster than any of us could run as well. Like, you look at some of their, 40 times, and they are obscene. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're going to get Tom to run a 40 because Tom is not convinced by this.
All right, let's look at his 40.
Do you know what? I
You
think
give
we all
me
need
a
to run
couple of weeks
40.
practice.
I love that.
I think I might pull a hammy, but
This is great
I'll give
YouTube
it a go.
content. I'm ready for that. All right,
we all need to run a 40 in the off season.
We all need to.
I'll tell you what. We will do it for Combine next year. We will do our own Combine for YouTube
Oh,
next
yeah,
year.
I love
You
that.
should win the bench press.
Yeah, I've actually got to start bench pressing again. But yeah, all right, we'll do a combine next year. That'd be great fun. I'm well up for that.
That's a great
If I
idea.
do one bench,
know-
I'll be happy.
I don't know if you know this, but I can actually do 20 kilos on the bench press. So
No.
Is that for 1 rep max? Or
I'm pretty buff here, guys.
You understand the combine bench press is how many reps can you do at 100 kilos?
is it 100 kilos?
I think it's 225 pounds, isn't it? 100 kilos.
You are absolutely 100
No,
kilos.
behave.
And I've seen them do like, what is it, like 30 odd?
Yeah,
people
some
get
of
to?
them are units. Hold on.
Do they accept decimals?
If they accept this.
0.5.
I can have some of the like
0.4
the 0.5 plates.
10.
Yeah, NFL combine bench press is 225 pounds, 102 kilos, as many times as possible.
Right, so let's scale this to be proportionate to us. I think
No, otherwise we'll just run like a 20-yard dash and say we're twice as quick as Michael Thomas.
No. That's
can we just double our time and then you get the 40-yard dash.
I don't think that's
Right, anyway,
how it works.
moving on, because content all coming in the off season. This is fantastic. I like it. But even more exciting news, Devontae Adams is coming back to the Packers. Very excited about this, just because I have no issues with it. Apart from he is an exceptional player who is going to come back and steal lots of targets. So who's losing out? Who should we be looking to drop off your line now? Alan Lazard? Is he suddenly going to
Still hot.
He's still going to be hot.
Good wide receiver too. It's MVS.
Yeah,
MVS.
MVS.
I've already
But
cut
I
MVS
didn't
in
see
one league.
MVS really
He
going
got one
off
target
whilst-
for 5 yards.
Well, great.
1.5
that's-
PPR points.
And maybe Aaron Jones as well. Like he has the ability to play like a wide receiver. Like he is a crazy good running back. But
In week 2, when he went off, it was because Devontae Adams draws coverage to him. So what they'll do is they're quite clever. Aaron Jones runs the out route for like a check down or even sometimes a slant or screen. And because Devontae Adams has run the other way, the safety's looking at him, the corner's looking at him. And that's why Aaron Jones went monster. Plus, he just broke through some tackles and ripped off a 90-yard run. Because you see the swag he had with the shades on at the game in New Orleans? He'd scored a touchdown, just put some golden shades on, just walking down the sidelines. In a Sunday night football game in a dome stadium, he was wearing sunglasses.
Matt
it.
the
Legend.
Zebra, I am blaming you for me being low on Aaron Jones this year. I trusted you and you've let me down.
Do you know, I was just about to say I was really down on Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and Dalvin Cook is being very consistent for a team that is not doing great at the moment, and Aaron Jones is doing great. Everything was hinged on an injury, and they seem to be the only two bloody players that aren't getting injured who are in the first kind of picks. It's coming. I hate to say it's coming.
I'm actually really proud of in our home league George picking up Aaron Jones because he's doing really well. You know, won the poo 2 years in a row, and now he's 3-0, buzzing off his nut. I just wish he was.
He's buzzing off his nut.
Dropped a few
Getting
tabs listening to the house music.
160,
The American
170
listeners.
points a week. You know, he is absolutely flying. He also
He's
got
doing
Aaron
well.
Jones on the end of the second round.
Yeah, and the only thing is, I just wish he'd stop banging my sister.
Yeah, the problem is, Matt, if you weren't...
Is he buzzing his
I mean,
nut
that's not
twice?
even a
Is
lie,
he?
is it? That's
George,
not even
if you're
a lie.
listening, stop it.
Oh, God, to think
Right,
I took
okay,
Nick Chubb instead of Aaron Jones. What a life I live.
If he thinks of Aaron
Right.
Jones while he's doing it, we've got problems. But
Back
like
to content,
45
boys. Back to content.
I love you,
We've got
Adrian!
to keep back to
I'm turning off the podcast now. See you guys.
So,
it's when he accidentally says, "I love you, Aaron." Sorry, I mean Matt's sister.
Jesus.
Those are
Right,
official
we've already covered this other one. Julio Jones
Matt's
coming
getting
back for
very
the
upset.
Falcons.
Sorry,
I'm getting
Matt.
very upset. Julio Jones coming back for the Falcons, but we've already covered that kind of, so we won't do that. We'll move on to our rapid fire predictions with breakouts and busts. I'm going to let Chief or Goat lead this one.
Oh, thank you. Let me just start with the Jets. Utter and complete shite. Adam Gase has done a masterclass. He was AIDS at Miami Dolphins. If you're a Jets fan, I honestly feel for you. As a Patriots fan, I didn't used to like you, but I've got that pity soft spot now. And against the Broncos, there's no point even talking about this game. If the Broncos are on your waiver wire, pick them up. And my breakout player is Adam Gase into the unemployment lines. He'll pick up his social security check because they just need to get rid of him. every player who's moved on from Gase has been better. Look what he's done to Le'Veon Bell. Very good player before he went there.
Yeah,
Sam
true.
Darnold in college wasn't as retarded. Okay, every player is saying I'm injured rather than playing for him, and they scored 7 points last week. 7. Okay,
Just to temper the other side, though, the Broncos have basically lost all of their good players. They did not
but they'll
look
still
great
win.
this week.
they'll still
not.
walk it.
Do you really think? So I was going to say they both are 0-3 at the moment, but Broncos have had to face Titans, Steelers, and the Bucks, who are actually looking pretty good.
Yeah,
this
they're going to
season.
win the Super Bowl.
They're going to
They
win
almost
Super
beat
Bowl.
the Titans.
It's. I mean, I feel sorry for them. They look in a worse position than they should be.
I think
What
the
about
Jets
the
will
Broncos or
lose,
the
but I'm
Jets?
just saying don't run out and pick up the Broncos defense because they're missing. They lost a cornerback or a tackle or something like that this week as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't
it's
run
the
out and pick up
Jets.
the Broncos defense. The Broncos will win, but I think the Jets will put up at least 2 touchdowns.
Well,
So,
can I just say as well, though, that the Jets, all of us during the off-season said no one on there excites us at all, apart from.
Le'Veon Bell and Jamison Crowder.
I still
And
said
have they
no
done?
one.
Have they done a lot?
No, Frank
Have we
Gore
seen
has. He is the oldest person ever to run on a Sunday.
Well, don't do it. Moving on.
Ever.
Right.
Wearing
So
2
in
left
terms
shoes
of
because he's got
fantasy, boys.
Alzheimer's now.
In terms of fantasy, other than the Broncos D, are we starting anyone in this matchup?
No,
Melvin Gordon, I would. I'd start Melvin
No.
Gordon. Yeah, the Jets couldn't handle the Jonathan Taylor.
It's all
And I
just
think
gone wrong
also
for
Jerry
him.
Judy's worth a shout. He scored decent points against Tampa last week. He scored 10.8, so against Jets, probably triple it.
Okay,
Are
we're
we
talking,
expecting
but we're talking like
Jeff
flex
Driscoll?
starts. Jeff Driscoll?
No, I'm not excited. Maybe in a very 18-man deep league, you'd consider a stream, but no. And then for busts, I've written down every single Jets player.
Yeah.
All their
Feels
names.
about right.
Pretty much summed up there. Don't go for Jets. Melvin Gordon.
Feel sorry for the fans.
I just want to
You know,
tell everyone, we've been
Judy, if you
saying
want
this
to
for
rush.
months. Do not go near the Jets.
Yeah.
If anyone
I'm-
listens to this drafted a Jets player, more for you morons.
No, apart from
I'm-
Jamison Crowder. That's the only one I think, in the late rounds you could get away with.
I'm personally trying to buy very, very low on Le'Veon Bell now, because if Adam Gase gets fired and we get someone that can actually coach, then, last season we saw him catch like 8 to 10 targets every game, really solid floor, with the added bonus of, maybe ripping off a 50-yard run while everyone's playing prevent defense because they are 30 points down and they know that Darnold has to sling it. So I'm trying to buy low on him now, just as a gamble. Really, you don't really have to spend a lot of capital to get him.
No.
Well, I think you need to do those sort of gambles, don't you, Matt? At the moment.
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus. Someone does their big boy pants on today, don't they? Oh, you wouldn't say that if you were in real life. It's
I like
slap
that.
you,
Moose,
boy.
don't do it. You've won a championship in our home league. You've been to the final before. Look, I believe in you. You're just having a slump. Everyone gets them.
Everyone has
But
a
if you
bad
could
year.
slump again one more week, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, this is it. Right then, moving on to our next game. Once again, I don't think it should be interesting, but I don't know about Washington anymore. I feel like they're kind of surprising a few people, but it's the Ravens versus Washington at Washington. Who we thinking is going to gonna be good?
Easily the Ravens.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
the Ravens were
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of disappointing versus the Chiefs, though, especially the Ravens' backfield. Like we're looking at a running back committee. We've got no idea who's going to get the touchdowns, who's going to get the carries. Ingram scored a measly 3 points against the Chiefs. And,
That all?
Yep.
Bloody hell. Sorry,
And,
I didn't realise it was that bad.
So yeah, it's very cloudy at the moment, and Malcolm Brown isn't getting that much.
Marquise.
Marquise Brown. He's
do it as
not
well.
doing great.
Yeah, I think I tell you what has turned this match up for me. On Sunday, they lost Chase Young and their other defensive end. So, as far as I'm concerned, Lamar Jackson is going to have as much time as he wants in the pocket. So, I reckon this is going to be a week that you look out for Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews to put up some numbers because there's just going to be no pressure on him. Both your defensive ends are gone. He's going to have as much time as he wants. As you say, we don't know what's happening with that backfielding, especially the fact that Lamar runs like he does. So, Ravens, easy win.
I think
Look
the
out
only
for
thing
World
worth
Series.
adding is, do you see the amount of picks Haskins threw last week?
Yeah, he wasn't having a great time, was he?
No, and Ron Rivera has come out and said, look, there's only so much time I'll give Haskins.
Yeah.
Even McLaurin, who was meant to have this good link with Haskins, they weren't hooking up.
No.
I don't think Haskins is cut out for the NFL. I'm
This
sorry,
is where
Dwayne.
Alex Smith is, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the backup
Oh, right. When do we think we're going to see Smith?
next week after week 4.
I think halfway through Q3 this week.
Oh, you've gone that early, Chief.
Wow.
Moose, do you think
But
we'll see
for
Alex
Big
Smith this
Ron
week?
to come out and say he's fed up with it,
I-
short leash.
I think maybe next week.
They wouldn't put him against the Ravens. He busted his leg last time. You won't put him against the Ravens. That's mean. First
All right.
game in. Unless they're losing like 30-0 at half time, then you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you can't be keeping Alex Smith off the field for that long when poor Haskins... I know Haskins worked so hard in the offseason as well, so I feel bad for it. But just like a few of the other players out there, Tyrod Taylor springs to mind, you're just not cut out to be a starting quarterback, mate. But you can still make yourself a lot of money as a backup if you get your head around that.
In that, I've heard rumours Washington are looking to trade for Winston.
Hey, that'd
But at
be
least he throws
great fun to
touchdowns as well
watch.
as picks.
Yeah. That'd be great
see
fun
that.
to watch.
Right then, on our next game, this is probably one of the most exciting of the season so far. Steelers versus Titans, both undefeated. One's obviously going to walk away, having that title. My bets are on the Titans. I think Titans are taking this. I think Steelers haven't had the hardest schedule so far, and I think Titans are gonna take it.
No, I think Steelers. I think Big Ben's
I like
having
this.
a lot of fun this year. I think he's balling out. And as always, the Steelers defense is doing what it needs to do to keep its team in the game. If they can figure out how to stuff Derrick Henry and put a bit of pressure on Tannehill. Tannehill didn't look too sharp this week. This is going to be a battle of quarterbacks who seem to be a bit slow on their drop at the minute and a bit slow around the pocket. So the more pressure you can put on them, the better. And I think the Steelers are better placed to put more pressure on the quarterback than the Titans are.
Yeah, I think that Henry is going to have some issues. He got stuffed completely by Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. They sacrificed their soul to stop him, and Steelers is like running into a brick wall. Would you guys like to take a guess on how many yards David Johnson had last week? So Texans David Johnson against the Steelers. He had 13 carries. How many yards?
27.
13 carries. I'm gonna go 45.
11.
23.
That's
That
not
is
great. That's
that
like
is
less than
not
2
great.
yards a carry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Derrick Henry could run into some problems there.
That was a great trade for Hopkins. You know, swapping David Johnson, who's getting 2 yards a carry. for, Bill O'Brien, you genius. You know how to win games. You're 0-3. Well done.
Hold on, you were trying to sing his praises this off-season. Oh, the D. Johnson strat.
Yeah, I also I'm not doing too well, so
No, you're doing all right. You're doing fine, mate.
So,
Right, so I'm saying Steelers. Matt's saying Titans.
Yep.
I'm sadly going to have to say Steelers, even though I'm a big Titans fan this season.
for me it's COVID dependent. If we find out who has COVID and if it's a positive, not a false positive, that could affect the entire Titans game plan. If there's no COVID and everyone can play, I'd still say Steelers, but close. But it depends how much rape they actually put on the Titans. If you find out Derrick Henry and Tannehill's out, it could be a bloodbath.
Who are we starting in this game then? Because if AJ Brown is back, then obviously you can be starting him. But is there anyone else on the Titans side you're looking at?
Johnny Smith.
Titans side. Yeah, Johnny Smith is seeing work.
He just couldn't bring in the targets. I think he got 5 or 6 targets last week. He just couldn't bring them in. A really deep surprise package that someone else in this podcast called in the tight end slot.
Yeah,
But
good job, Moose. I like that call. It was a really good call. No, I'd start Big Ben. I actually looked to pick him up off the free agency the other day. I think Big Ben's having a great year and he's having a lot of fun, even if Matt did try and fat shame him the other week. I think he's...
Have we heard from him? I want him on the show.
He called him 400-pound fat monster bastard, didn't you?
I reckon I could do a 40-yard dash faster than him, unless it's to McDonald's.
Can we invite Big Ben to the combine during the off season? Can we get him on?
Shall we
We
just
can pit him
try and
against
see
Matt.
how many agents we can bug to see if their players want to fly to London to do a NFL combine with 4 idiots?
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we haven't actually done any training, but we think we'd be rather good at this combine malarkey. You know?
Also, you've got to fight one of us in the car park afterwards.
I'm not taking Big Ben.
Who wants to be shirts? Who wants to be skins? Oh, God. Right.
Actually, which QB would you fight? Out of
Which
all the
QB would I
QBs in the
fight?
league, which one do you think you could take?
Alex Smith.
Genuinely.
Dodgy leg.
Isn't
Gammy leg, mate.
Minshew.
You
Whoa,
would
no,
fight
no,
the
no. You get
mustachioed
wrecked.
jaw wearing man.
You
He would
get
sit on your
wrecked.
face. He will sit on your face.
Right then. Anyway, back to the board. We got the next game: Chargers versus Bucks.
Buccaneers, obviously Buccaneers. Godwin out. Scotty Miller's going to go absolutely huge. Start Scotty Miller if you've got him on your team this week. Brady is actually finally starting to click. I don't know who's compromising him or BA, but they're finally finding a middle ground that works. The Chargers, chances are they'll still have a rookie quarterback under center, so Tom Brady will just stare and give him the eyes and he'll crumble. And that'll be that.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it'll go.
Also, potentially no
Fournette
Mike
needs
Williams. So that's how
I just like the eyes idea. You know, Brady just from the sideline, just staring, and he just goes like this.
You know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna go Chargers. I think with Chris Godwin out, there's gonna be big changes around. Scotty Miller could have a big day, but the backfield is a bit in disarray at the moment. We don't know who we're getting. Is it Rojo? Is it Fournette? Both talented, but Bruce Arians is a fickle man. One of them does the wrong pass protection. The other one comes in.
Get to
I
the
hate
bench.
I hate Rojo. I even drafted him in the 6th in our home league, and I genuinely hate him. He shouldn't be on the field. Just give it Fournette. He's the better anyway.
There's Fournette's on your team now, not Rojo.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I've still got Rojo.
Does anyone... So Rob Gronkowski finally started seeing a bit of work last week.
Yes, good.
Chris Godwin's out. Scotty Miller's already had a reasonably well-sized role in this offense. They're probably going to have to lean on tight ends a little bit harder to cover that slot.
No, not going to happen.
No?
Bruce Arians has never had a good fancy tight end.
Has he ever
Never.
had to?
Yeah.
Has he ever had a world-class future Hall of Famer tight end playing for him? A man voted onto the NFL all-time team.
Yeah, but it's not the same Gronk that was playing, is it? He's too busy talking about manscaping with his girlfriend.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think he'll break out, but it's curious. If you're in a real deep hole, I think he's one of the better, potentially not owned tight ends going into this week.
Yeah, stream him for this week. For me, the Chargers, though, what is worrying is last week they had one of the strongest run Ds, and then Panthers running back Mike Davis, taking on for McCaffrey, ran them into the ground. The Chargers were getting run all over, so if Fournette gets some good downhill momentum going, and that Tampa O-line isn't bad,
Pretty good.
and the
Tristan Wirfs, let's go.
Eckler's going to get stuffed, let's be honest, because that Tampa run D is incredible. Eckler's going to probably be broken. That's someone I actually avoid. I'd avoid playing Kelly this week, and I'd go Eckler if you have
Yeah,
him.
I started Kelly last week. I'm kicking Kelly off the team this week. He's donezo for me against the Bucks.
I think Bucks win this, and I think Herbert throws for a lot of yards to Allen trying to get him out of a hole.
Yeah.
That's exact. And I think Eckler will actually get a lot of PPR because he'll be checked down.
Absolutely. I think he'll do absolutely fine in terms of checkdowns, but don't look for him to have more than, say, 30, 25 yards on the ground.
I think Eckler will end up with a solid floor of about 16 points. That's what I think for this week. Yeah. But Tampa, problem is the Chargers' safety was outdoing James. They've still got Harris in the secondary. Their secondary on paper is good, but they've lost Ingram in the line. It means they've only got Bosa to charge the line. And I think Tampa's O-line showed against even Denver. Even with some of Denver's good defensive rush. Yeah, I see Bucks winning this probably about 30 points to 14, something like that.
Hey, I like that. We can get on board with that. All I'm saying, right? Tampa Bay Lightning this week won the Stanley Cup. The Miami Heat are through to the finals for the NBA, and the Bucks are going to win the Super Bowl. So it's coming up Florida this year.
Okay, then. What about our other Florida partners, the Seahawks versus Dolphins?
So Seahawks are undefeated going into this.
Yes.
So we all think the Dolphins are going to win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to make a comeback. We're going to see some Fitz magic. and it's just all going to go their way. So basically, in my mind, pick up anybody Seahawks. You're happy.
To be fair, who saw them going off against Jacksonville? They did great. I think some breakouts this game. We're going to see Parker getting a lot of air yards. Gesicki probably getting a lot of targets because they're probably going to have to come back from being down. And Miles Gaskin as well. He is shaping up to be the bell cow back of the Dolphins. He can catch, he can run. He's got a Tariq Cohen-esque quality about him. The only thing I just wish would happen is that Jordan Howard would just leave him alone. This season, so 3 games, Jordan Howard has had 16 carries for 12 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's elite production.
Because they get to the end zone, and then as soon as they get anywhere near, they just give it to him instead. Because they want him to feel like he's got some role of importance on the team because they don't give him any more carries. So it's horrible. But yeah, a lot of people are starting this game, I think.
We're in any danger of seeing Tua anytime soon?
No. Fitz isn't the reason they're losing.
No.
Fitz is actually playing well. I actually really think, having met him in Florida earlier this year, and although he asked me for an autograph, we couldn't at the time. We were with our partners.
Yeah, it was like,
He
come on,
was with
mate,
his
like,
family.
calm down. We're going to host a podcast in the future. I can't believe you're already this so excited about it.
But I don't want to make any predictions or puns about on purpose or poor place. But
Right, I'm moving us on.
Yeah, kill
right,
him.
Vikings,
Everyone's saying
Texans. Once again, everyone says Seahawks. We don't need to ask that question. Right, Vikings, Texans. Once again, both 0-3 going into this. Texans have had a real horrible start in terms of schedule versus what they've had. The Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens. That's pretty much the worst start you could hope for this season. So are they going to bounce back against the Vikings, who just don't look that impressive?
no.
Well, the Vikings have got such a weak secondary. I think this is the week that you start your Fullers, you start your David Johnsons, and if you haven't been already, you start your Deshaun Watson.
Is Brandon Cooks back?
He is.
Because Randall Cobb went off last week. He got like almost 20 points. So I know
It's
Zebra
curious
predicted
over
in the
there
offseason.
because I feel like it's a real fine line between Cooks and Cobb. I feel like as soon as one of them starts getting the hot hand, they're just going to hit them the rest of the game.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in the last few weeks.
I think the Vikings secondary, as you pointed out, Chief, is naff. D. Johnson won't do anything. Ngakwe and who's the other defensive end? They played a lot with Griffin. Yeah, they should stuff him. I think Deshaun Watson will escape, and I actually have the Texans almost winning this one, but I've gone Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook and the run game will be too strong for the Texans.
Dalvin Cook played amazing against the Titans.
And that Titans defense is solid.
I
And
just
they
want to
almost beat them.
believe in the Texans. Deshaun Watson needs a win. He's had a tough 3 games to start the year, and they've not looked horrible. I feel like the Vikings is their first attempt at kind of having a little step back in. I feel like they're going to be riled up more than ever to take this game. I'm going to go Texans.
That's what I think. Right then, 3 Texans, one Vikings. Like it. So next one, Saints versus Lions.
Saints versus what? It's the
Lions beat
so-
Cardinals
They did,
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
Mm.
Who
I
saw
don't think
that?
anyone could believe that. That was kind of crazy. Do you think they'll carry it on? Really?
No.
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 Saints
I
will take
think- Especially if Michael Thomas is back, I think it's a good night, Lions. Now, the good news is, I imagine it's going to be a bit of a shootout, so we'll see plenty of PPR points for Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, and I imagine Kenny Golladay should see plenty of work as well. Thanks to him being back, I think they missed him somewhat. Look, Kenny Golladay comes back, they win a game. I'm just saying.
No, but Golladay will probably get marked out by Lattimore. Lattimore's a quality cornerback. He shut out Mike Evans.
He is, but I don't
good
think
wide
they can. I
receivers.
don't think they can keep him on permanent shadows, because if they do that, Marvin Jones will just eat.
Mm.
So they're going to have to spread it a certain amount, I think.
It's hard to shadow Golladay anyway. He's an elite wide receiver.
Oh, yeah. He's got an amazing way of separation. He's really good at using his body. Fair play to him. I think we're all saying Saints, though, aren't we?
Yeah.
All
Are there any
Saints,
lesser
Saints.
names that
All
you'd
of us
start in
saying
this
Saints.
game?
Just start your studs. Well, Matt Stafford could have a good week. I know he's not been putting up the greatest quarterback numbers so far this year. What's he put up? He's 11th, QB 11 at the minute.
I think you'd look to start maybe Jones and Golladay on the Lions. I wouldn't touch any of the running backs. It's been too spread out. Maybe if you've got Stafford, maybe start him, but it's a tough matchup because the Saints D-line is actually quite strong against the pass.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to throw it, though, I think, to have any chance of staying in the game, because the Saints, as much as people are giving them crap for not being some explosive offense, they're just going to put up a load of points this week, I think, if Mike Thomas is back. So,
Yeah.
Fair.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Browns Cowboys. Not the
Okay.
most exciting game
I
in
don't
my
know.
mind. Don't know. I think there's
this
more
could be
exciting games out there this weekend. I think you're going to see Browns running game going off, and then you got Zeke versus Chubb and Hunt. But otherwise, do you see anything else going off there?
I see Cowboys going off, and I have Amari Cooper potentially going off.
Okay,
Because that
Amari
Browns
Cooper.
secondary got absolutely gashed by Lamar Jackson, who isn't the best passer. And let's be honest, Mike McCarthy's run the ball a lot more. They've got Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup. Gallup went off one last week. I think it's Cooper's turn this week. I'd expect Amari Cooper to go big. I don't think Zeke will have a big game because that Browns front five is very strong. The Ravens didn't run against them. They actually passed it. Mark Andrews got touchdowns. The teams that have beaten them and played well, look at the Bengals. Mixon didn't do anything. It was all receivers. So if you've got any Cowboys receivers, if you drafted CD Lamb in the third, Dan, start him. I'd honestly start any Cowboys wide receiver this week.
I think in terms of busts, it depends on if you look at him as a bust, but I think OBJ is certainly not the person that you thought you would draft in. I read this week that he apparently is starting to come to terms with his new role on the Browns offense as someone who's not going to get a lot of targets. And yeah, they will be important targets like they were this past weekend, but he's going to see between 4 and 6 rather than anything huge. And apparently he's accepted that. So that's depressing.
Has he accepted
Jarvis
that because he
Landry.
wants to seem like a team player and he'll be going somewhere else in the offseason?
Well, they've still said they're not interested in trading him. So
But you wouldn't say we want to trade him because then you halve his value, don't you?
True.
I think the Cowboys will win this one just because, as much as I love Baker and I wanted him to do well this year, I just don't think he's running the team well enough for them to take off. So I'm going to say Cowboys. Stay away from Baker Mayfield if you're not already.
Yeah, Cowboys for me.
I'd say start Chubb and Hunt just because the Cowboys have had people run up on them. And yeah, I'd say Chunt.
Chunt.
There you go. Chunt.
Brangelina and Chunt.
Yeah. Chunt. Just start Chunt.
You heard it here first.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, I think Cowboys as well. So, Jags Bengals. I'm hot on the Bengals for this one. I got a
I'm
real
hot on
thing
the
for
Jags.
Bengals this year.
I think Minshew has been playing great. If he gets DJ Chark back, that is a completely different team. You saw him making some big mustache plays over the weekend. He just didn't have an elite receiver who could get the separation. He was doing some rainbow throws, and you're looking for Keenan Cole, and it's just not happening. If he gets DJ Chark back, I think he's a completely different quarterback.
I'm going Bengals because I think Joe Burrow will physically explode if he goes 0-4.
I'm going Jags because Bengals have only not lost 3 games in the last 2 years. I don't see them winning this one.
Oh, you don't see him winning?
They've not lost 3 games in the last 2 seasons.
That's all right. That's why they got number 1 pick. Now they got number 1 quarterback. Look, I really like watching Joe Burrow go off on one. He's been growing every week for me. He's thrown an obscene amount of passes and he seems to be fully in control of everything. And I just want to see the poor bloke get a win. So I've got it. Week 4, he's going to get his first win of his NFL career.
I think start Boyd. If you've got Tyler Boyd, start him.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think he'll finish top 15 wide receivers this year if it carries on. The only thing he's lacking is touchdowns, to be honest. That's the only thing
that's just a function
stopping him in being
as a whole.
top 10. The Jags, honestly, James Robinson, start him. Bengals have been gassed by decent running backs. So Miles Sanders almost put 100 yards on them. Okay, we all know what Chunt did the other week. But it's honestly, if DJ Chark comes back, that would just stretch the game and change Minshew. I actually have the Jags winning, but the Bengals coming close.
I love that Minshew isn't afraid to run either. I've traded for him in my 2 QB league just because he's kind of like a poor man's. I don't want to say Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson is ridiculous. He's a poor man's Cam Newton. I think he doesn't mind just taking off, and I love that in a second quarterback.
Just whilst we've been on air, guys, just so you know, the Eagles have placed Dallas Goedert on short-term IR, so it's at least 3 weeks.
3
He'll be
weeks,
out.
yeah.
There you go.
Who else is on your team,
Breaking
Rich,
news!
just so we know?
Oh, I don't know, mate. Don't start anyone on my team. I'll post a picture of it on Twitter. They're all going to get injured this week.
Okay, so in the concept of time, let's move through these a bit quicker then. So, Colts, Bears. Are the Bears going to maintain their winning streak, or
Yes.
do you think the Colts are going to be able to dislodge it?
Bears.
You know what? If
Bears.
Nick Foles is starting this week, it's going to be his first week running the team. I think for this week at least, they're going to keep up that unbeaten streak.
Yeah, first win.
Yep. I think, yeah.
You could see the difference in the team when he came on the field last week, and I think that will carry on this week. In terms of players that we're targeting in this matchup, I mean, the Colts defense would have done a lot of people a lot of favours last week. Don't touch them this week. Nick Foles will be airing it out. Someone's written Monty on this sheet here.
That was me. It was what we talked about before. Tarek Cohen dropped his ACL. Going to see a lot of passes going towards Monty now. He can catch a ball. He ran through a few wide receiver routes this weekend, and he looked good while doing it. I'm a big Monty fan. I don't trust your sell high, Tom. I think buy low.
No, sell Monty high. I have Monty in some leagues, so I'm trying to sell high. Just for, Colts fans, Pittman's out. Okay, so T.Y. Hilton now should be getting more targets because Phillip Rivers will spread it. And for those who spent fab or waiver capital on Naeem Hines, you idiots, we all know Jonathan Taylor's backfield is that now.
Do you guys remember that time in one of our leagues where you have a 200 fab, someone spent $121 on Naeem Hines after week 1?
Oh, it's crazy.
A lot.
That was mental. Okay.
Idiots.
Matty, do you think Colts or Bears?
I'm going to stick with Bears.
So we're all Bears, are we?
So hold on, we'll do it at the end. But at the minute, we've got, obviously one of those will stay 2, 3. We still reckon after this week that so far there'll be 3 unbeaten teams. This is quite exciting.
So far? Yeah, absolutely. Cardinals, Panthers. Are the Cardinals looking as good?
Yeah,
Yes.
so we find this to be Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Panthers' secondary is just shit.
Also,
There's no way to be
can
nice.
we all appreciate how Kyler Murray is making it look like he's controlling a Madden character when he runs?
Oh, yeah.
Just
he stuck that defender, didn't he?
Unbelievable. And the Panthers haven't been too great against people who run this year. So I can see him getting a few yards. Definitely start him in fantasy if you have him. I don't know why you wouldn't be already. I just love Kyler
I'd avoid
Murray.
Kenyon Drake if you can. I can't see Kenyon Drake doing anything. I think he was overdrafted. Murray's taking the snaps. If you've got Hopkins, start him. Maybe Christian Kirk. But honestly, I'd say Murray and Hopkins are the only Cardinals worth playing.
Is CMC back this week?
No. So Mike Davis is worth a punt, actually, because the Cardinals have bled yards.
Yeah.
The Panthers got gassed on the secondary by the Chargers. Keenan Allen put up the yards. Mike Williams did damage. Hunt Henry did damage. So air raid offense, yeah. Murray,
It'd
Hopkins.
be a great week for Kyler Murray and Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Kirk?
Maybe.
He's out, isn't
yeah.
he? Is he out?
No, I think he's back this week.
Is he? Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Possibly.
So we all Cardinals or Panthers there?
Cardinals, I think.
Cardinals.
Great. Giants or Rams?
Rams.
The Giants are just
Giants have just got
dog
nothing going
shit.
for them.
serious?
that
Seriously, all
reminds
going
me,
Rams?
This is another Jets
in our UK
perspective, isn't
Industry
it?
Dynasty League, can we please stop playing our 2 tight ends in a super flex that aren't our starting tight end, who's Dak Prescott as our starter, isn't it? We have Danny Dimes and Dwayne Haskins. I'm blaming this on you, Tom.
Yeah, fair. I'll take that one. I'm not very good at Dynasty, and you listen to me. I think we're all going Rams. To be honest, I think Darrell Henderson just walks away with 100 yards, a couple of touchdowns. If you have him, get him. I think Darrell Henderson's that's the Rams' backfield now because Malcolm Brown didn't do much. Cam Akers is still pretending he's got a sore rib because he can't actually play football. It's the Rams. We saw the Giants get absolutely smashed in the run game last week and the week before and the week before that. I mean, Benny Snell put 100 yards on them. Benny Snell is not that good a player compared to Henderson. So, yeah, the Rams, if you've got Cooper Kupp, laugh. So
Robert Woods, laugh even more.
Yeah, if you've got anyone, I think Jared Goff's actually worth a start this week. If he's available, stream him. If you haven't got anyone better,
True. I might pick up the Rams defense actually. Someone must have them already. They must have them
yeah, in some of our leagues. No, don't take my waiver pick, you prick.
Shut up, Tom. Shut up.
So we're all going Rams there. That's pretty obvious. Bills, Raiders. Bills still undefeated. I don't think that's going to change. Raiders are looking good this season in my mind, but the Bills are strong. Josh Allen is just absolutely on fire. Although John Brown is out, Diggs is looking good. I'm sticking with Bills on this one.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Bills.
Yeah, the Raiders
Bills.
have been looking okay, but Josh Allen is just on a mission this year to show people why he's potentially going to be the face of the AFC if the Bills can put the Pats to bed.
Well, it was sad this weekend because the Raiders had been looking really good in week 1 and 2, but they kind of fell apart. Like Derek Carr just had a nightmare.
Belichick will take your best weapons. He had Gilmore on Ruggs, and Waller just got shaded out, and he forced him to pass it, which opened up Hunter Renfrow and Brian Adams, and they couldn't get the job done.
Still,
and Josh Jacobs just got stuffed.
The Bills only just squeezed past the Rams this week.
Dubious call at the end there.
Yeah.
That was harsh. Rams should have won that one.
Yeah.
Personally, I lost money because of that terrible officiating. I actually went on. I was actually like, I will do an accumulator. I will have this team, and Rams. I was like, yes, they've come back.
Oh, was that the only game that didn't come out for you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, the Bears came back against the Falcons. I was like, it's my time. I could win this 141 whatever pounds it was. No. Fuck you, official.
Right. Pats versus Chiefs. Unfortunately, I don't care how good the Pats are. The Chiefs are absolutely storming it this season. I don't know how anyone's going to stop them. They are, Mahomes is flying again, looking so hot with his little trick play, touchdowns with the offensive line. It's just exciting to see, to be honest.
We saw them wobble a little bit against the Chargers in week 2, and I was slightly concerned, which is why we went for the Ravens in Monday Night Football in our Great British Pod Off. But yeah, after last night's game, you're like, yeah, no doubt about it. They are the Chiefs that won the Super Bowl. I am so sorry for doubting you, Master Mahomes. You crack on, pal. Don't listen to what four English buffoons say.
So yeah, happy everyone going for Chiefs there. 49ers and Eagles.
You're not going Pats.
Oh, you're going Pats.
Shut up.
I'm going Pats.
Are you recommending people start Cam this week then?
Shut up and move on.
Start
Come
Cam.
on, you.
Start Cam and Edelman and profit.
So Eagles and 49ers. I think we've been moaning about Eagles all night and just how Wentz is playing for them. So I think, are we all 49ers for this one?
Yeah.
Kittle and Garoppolo back, 49ers, yeah. If not, it'll just be a very boring slugfest.
Yeah.
This
might end up just being a wah kind of game.
So look, if the Eagles can't even beat the Bengals,
then you've got no hope against the 49ers, do you?
This is it.
They just won't
This is what
score
I'm saying.
points. I can't see them scoring points. That's the problem. They can't move the chains. Like Sanders got 100 yards, but that's great. He's getting like 3-4 yards a time off.
Yeah.
I think his average was 5 yards per carry, but he got nowhere near the red zone. And he wasn't. Wentz is just a terrible human being right now.
Who's wrote down Jeff Wilson?
That was me, just because it's worth watching the McKinnon injury, because I know he's got an injury to his ribs, but they haven't said if he's going to be out. If he is out, then if it's on the waiver wire or free agent, could be worth pick up because they've got no one else. But
McKinnon's Gucci.
McKinnon
He told me on Twitter.
I well wish that I picked up. Well, I tried to get McKinnon on the waiver last week, but our home league, we need to change to Fab next year. I am with people now that Fab
I'm
is
with Fab.
wayfarer. If you do reverse standings waiver, it's just I always thought it was fine, but it doesn't account for times like my team this year getting like 6 injuries in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And just because I won week 1, it screwed me for like the next 3 weeks until I can
But
find
people like Moose, who are 0-3, they need that wave 1 priority.
I blame Derrick Henry for going 0-3.
It's pretty cool there. Finishing off then, Falcons versus Green Bay. Green Bay, I don't see them losing their undefeated season. So I think what we're saying is, out of the 7 current teams, we're going to have 7 current teams. We're going to have 6 left undefeated.
I think so. Yeah, I think apart from the teams who are playing each other, what's that Steelers Titans game?
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why the other unbeaten teams won't be unbeaten at the end of this week. I think the closest it will come will be the Bills. Will come the closest to losing their unbeaten.
Do you? I actually think the Bears versus Colts. I think Bears is going to be the closest.
Eventually. There's a couple of close
We'll
calls.
see.
I
think the Chiefs is quite close.
So who are we looking at Green Bay if DeAndre Adams is able to come back?
You were right the first time.
I thought I was. I said it. I was like,
I'll let you off. You haven't slept because you've been moving house.
And I was like, yes, go on.
Well,
why did you confuse their names?
just move on.
I've written Lazard down in the notes just because I think that he's really emerged as the wide receiver 2 for the team. Even if DeAndre Adams is back. Sorry, Matt.
Screw you. 0-3.
Even if he's back, I think it's going to be an AJ Green, Tyler Boyd situation where AJ Green draws the courage, leaving Tyler Boyd to get everything. So you're going to be looking at Devontae Adams. You're going to be looking at Aaron Jones. Who's free? It's Alan Lazard. He's going to be running up the sidelines.
Yeah. Green Bay, for all the apparently lack of weapons, it's amazing because the wide receivers are spreading it and Aaron Jones is running it. So he stuffed the box to block Aaron Jones, and then Devontae Adams or Lazard is free. And with Aaron Rodgers in this form, sweet Lord help the NFC.
Did you see that pass that he
the
did?
No look.
Where the no look, it genuinely was, I am looking downfield and I'm still going to get a pass straight over to you.
Do you know what I've been really enjoying? Every Tuesday on the Pat McAfee show on youtube.com/the Pat McAfee show. I could work there. They have Aaron Rodgers on for an interview every Tuesday because he's like
amazing.
mates with AJ Hawk, who also does the show with Pat. And I'm just loving watching the half hour or 40 minutes of conversation they have every week because Aaron Rodgers is the most relaxed I've ever seen a human being. And he's clearly loving life this year. And honestly, expect huge things from Green Bay.
Well, wouldn't you, mate? You've dumped Danica Patrick, and this came out on the Twitter, which is important. He's now smashing Shailene Woodley. You know, the last from Divergent series and Fault in Our Stars and stuff like that.
Oh, her? Isn't she like considerably younger?
No, she's like 29.
How old's Aaron Rodgers? I keep forgetting. Like, Aaron Rodgers looks like he could be 40, right? But he's what, 37?
Bit harsh on Aaron. Don't be ageist and judge him for his looks. Matt's the fat shamer. You're the ageist one.
Here we go. With that absolute diabolical bombshell, let's call it for today. But look, if you enjoy today's show, be a friend and tell a friend.
If you're listening to the podcast, then go ahead and subscribe and drop us a review on whatever platform you use. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe down there and drop a like for the YouTube algorithm, ring the bell, all that stuff all those 12-year-old kids playing Minecraft tell you to do. It helps us more than you can imagine. And best of all, it's totally free to do.
Leave a comment for any questions you have below or your own Super Bowl takes. Or if you're in the therapy business, I also know of Moose and now Bear this year. Unfortunately, my therapist took a trip to Switzerland. Or you can drop us an email to fancyfootballzoo@zoohousesports.com. Alternatively, if you're on the Twitter and want to try and fuck me over again with terrible voting, you can find me at ZooHouseGoat.
Or me at ZooHouseZebra.
Or me at ZooHouseBear.
Or me at ZooHouseMoose. Or the podcast in general on Twitter and Instagram at ZooHouseSports_. If you can't wait another week for more fantasy content, be sure to head over to ZooHouseSports.com. The site is chock full of all the articles you need to get the advantage over your league mates this year.
Right, well, a massive thank you for all you listening, and as always, we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bench press ready for the combine.
Oh, combine bench press.
Yeah, combine. 40 and dash.